What's up, boys? We are back, and today we're going to be talking about UFC Abu Dhabi and my reaction to the UFC 319 co-main event because I'm not happy about it, guys. I just want to get that out of the way. I want to start off the video by saying that I'm actually just really bummed out that that is what the UFC decided to go with. And, well, we can start off by talking about this card because I'm sure you guys saw it. It was underwhelming, to say the least, man. I mean, we all saw this card. We all saw it on paper. We all saw the three mega fights, kinda. Not mega fights, but the three great fights. The main event, Robert Whittaker versus RDR. We saw the co-main event, Peter Yan versus Marcus McGee. We saw the featured fight, Masvidal Evila versus Aaron Pico. Obviously, that fight did get canceled, but still, it was looking decent, dude. We had names like Saeed Nurmagomedov versus Bryce Mitchell. We had the Bullet, Shar Magomedov versus Marc-Andre Barriault. We had a couple of good matchups, and it kind of underdelivered. You know, there was definitely a lot of moments on this card that surprised me. There was definitely a lot of moments on this card where I had a lot of shock value. You know, I'm not saying it was complete buns of a card, guys. I'm not gonna come out here and say, bro, this card was mid as heck. But I don't want to just come out here and just boast up this card because it was a plain mediocre fight night. I mean, I've seen fight nights that look much worse on paper that go on to be better than this, a lot better than this. But let's talk about it. The main event of the night, dude, obviously we had RDR beating Robert Whittaker. I said Robert Whittaker was going to win this. I thought Robert Whittaker was going to have a little bit of a crafty vet performance. I thought RDR wouldn't be able to get him down realistically at all, and that I was right about that, dude. RDR just could not get Robert Whittaker down. I don't know why. I think Robert Whittaker's just takedown defense is the best in the game, unless it's Khamzat Chimaev. You know, Robert Whittaker was able to do decent, and he kind of gassed, dude. And the first round, Robert Whittaker is piecing him up. I thought the whole fight was going to go like that. You know, Robert Whittaker was just piecing him up from range, using the jab. And then as the fight started to slow down, RDR decided to hold him against the cage a little bit more. And I see a lot of people getting mad at RDR. They're like, bro, this guy's so boring. We're acting like his last 3 fights in the UFC didn't end and finish in like very entertaining fashion. You know, his last fight against Bo Nickel, very entertaining, seeing him knee Bo Nickel into oblivion. The fight before that against Kevin Holland, just seeing him dominate Kevin Holland in like every aspect of the game, then taking him down and submitting him. The fight against GM3 was an absolute brawl. Both of those guys looked like they had zero skill in MMA, which resulted in RDR getting a submission in the 3rd round. So he's had some scraps in the UFC in just 3 fights. Obviously, this fight, it was this fight wasn't great. You know, the only really notable moment was a big notable moment. You know, it was when RDR, he had Whittaker rocked bad, dude. Whittaker was doing the weird rocked animation that he always does, the one he did against Dricus. When he's covering up, he doesn't look too stunned, but he's backing up. He's kind of stumbling around. His guard's up, and he's stumbling around. RDR had him against the cage, dude, and then Robert Whittaker just throws a ferocious overhand and almost sleeps RDR, dude. Robert Whittaker landed a giant overhand. He cracked him. RDR fell back. He got knocked down. Then Robert Whittaker landed several, I think 2 big ground and pound shots. I think one of them was an elbow, and it looked like RDR was out, dude. His head bounced off the canvas. Obviously, Renier DeRitter was able to recover, and he made a recovery. He went on to win, and a lot of people are saying it was a robbery, boys. This was not a robbery. This is literally one of the closest fights in MMA that I've ever seen, you know. The definition of a 50-50 fight. If the judges gave it to Robert Whittaker, I wouldn't be mad. If the judges gave it to RDR, which they did, I'm not mad. It was such a close fight. Genuinely could have gone either way, dude. And yeah, the judges decided to give it to RDR. 2 of them did. 1 decided to give it to Robert Whittaker. What's next for Robert Whittaker? I don't really know. RDR, though, a fight against Sean Strickland or Israel Adesanya maybe on the horizon. The co-main event, I was at a Marcus McGee watch party, dude. Everyone in there was cheering for Marcus McGee. I'll play the clip. And I had to be the guy to break the news to them that he was going to get chinned brutally by Peter Yan. Obviously, it didn't happen. Marcus McGee put up a very good performance against Peter Yan. And I think if Marcus McGee didn't get such a step up in competition, he would have been able to do it. He would have been able to win probably, dude. If we gave this guy a Figgy, if we gave this guy a Song Yadong, if we gave this guy a Henry Cejudo, he would have been able to beat them. But Peter Yan just so technical. He's so good. He's so precise. One of the greatest bantamweights of all time. You can't beat him. All right. The only guys to beat Peter Yan and Merab, the bantamweight goat. Sean O'Malley, not really. It was a robbery. And Aljamain Sterling, kind of. I mean, again, that was kind of a robbery. So it's not easy to beat Peter Yan. Marcus McGee put up a decent fight, and I had it 2-1. Peter Yan. And other things that happened on this card, Shar Magomedov got back in the win column. Bryce Mitchell gets a nice win at bantamweight for the first time, so maybe he can make a little run there. But other than that, not a lot of notable. Oh, we had that guy on the prelims who just got knocked down like 6 times. He gets pieced up, dude. That guy, his eye looked like it was about to pop. It was so disgusting. That was crazy fight, by the way. But you know, decent little card we had here. And I think it was after the co-main event, they announced the UFC 319 card, and they were talking about it. They were kind of setting it up. They were like, okay, guys, we have a big announcement for UFC 319. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, what are we gonna get? All the possibilities, they're going through my head, dude. Are we gonna get Paddy Pimlet versus Gaethje? Are we gonna get a mega fight? Are we gonna get a big fight? Because I seen the card at UFC 318 when they announced it. It was a great card, dude. And all it needed was just a great co-main event, and this card would have been one of the best cards of the year. So you can imagine my surprise when I look on screen and I see that Lerone Murphy, bro, versus Aaron Pico, bro. Oh my god. I'd rather watch paint dry than watch a 5-round Lerone Murphy fight. Are you kidding me? I don't even know if it's 5 rounds. You know, it doesn't say how many rounds it is. But still, I don't want to watch Lerone Murphy fight against Aaron Pico. I don't know why we're making such a big deal about Aaron Pico, dude. Who is Aaron Pico, dude? Paddy Pitbull, one of the greatest fighters to never fight in the UFC, former 3-time Bellator champion. We didn't even make that much of a big deal out of his debut. But for Aaron Pico, someone who was just any other Joe Schmo in Bellator, never was a champion. He got chinned multiple times in Bellator. We're making it seem like this guy's some megastar. We're making it seem like this guy is one fight away from a title. Are we kidding me? This also does kind of scare me too, because does that mean Movsar Evloev is just completely being snubbed? It really is just scary times for Movsar Evloev, because I genuinely think the UFC is just gonna forget about this guy. They're just gonna discredit everything he's done in the UFC. Yair Rodriguez is gonna get the title shot. You guys know how I feel about that, dude. I don't even want to talk about it because it just makes me mad. I'm a Mexican myself, but if I have to see Yair Rodriguez fight Volkanovski instead of Movsar Evloev, one of the clearest #1 contenders in the UFC right now, I will lose my marbles. But you know what we're gonna be doing today is we're gonna be talking about all the potential fights we could have gotten if the UFC actually cared about us. You know, if the UFC actually wanted to give us a good co-main event. Because I don't care about Lerone Murphy, I don't care about Aaron Pico. I don't even know who Aaron Pico is. What is an Aaron Pico? What is an Aaron Pico? What's a Pico? Lerone Murphy, dude. The kid, his last fight against Josh Emmett was so boring, bro. I fell asleep during that fight. That fight night, when I think of that fight night, I think of that just brings horror to my brain. I think I have nightmares when I think of that fight night. That was such a horrible fight night. And to cap it all off, we had to watch Lerone Murphy run away from a fight against Josh Emmett for 5 rounds. Oh, he got dropped by Dan Ige the fight before. Oh, he got rocked by Edson Barboza. 40-year-old Edson Barboza rocked Lerone Murphy. He's not a prospect. He's older than Max Holloway, guys. Come on. Let's hop off the Lerone Murphy hype train, dude. No one likes this guy unless you're British. And if you're British, please click off this video. I don't want you watching my video if you're British. But thank you guys for letting me rant. We're gonna be talking about all the other fights the UFC could have gave us for this card. I'll start off by talking about the one that we all thought Dricus leaked it a couple months ago. Not even a couple months ago, a couple weeks ago. This one, dude, we should have got this. The UFC's killing me. I don't care to see Paddy Pimlet in a title shot. You know, I made a video, I think, 2 days ago talking about this, so I'm not going to talk about it for too long. But Justin Gaethje, he deserves a title shot way more than Paddy Pimlet. Dan Hooker deserves a title shot way more than Paddy Pimlet. Paddy Pimlet's last couple of fights are on a 0-15 losing streak. Paddy Pimlet's best win in the UFC is Michael Chandler. Why are we just giving you guys free title shots after beating Michael Chandler? Michael Chandler is on the verge of being unranked. Michael Chandler's last win was against Tony Ferguson. Are we serious? Tony Ferguson is retired and he's facing Salt Poppy. We can't be serious, guys. Paddy Pimlet, he needs a fight, dude. He needs a fight. It shouldn't be for the title. Justin Gaethje, he's the clear-cut #1 contender behind Arman Tsarukyan. If Arman Tsarukyan does not get the title shot, in which I think he should get the title shot, I think he will get the title shot. So I think this is a fight to make. I don't care if Paddy Pimlet can't make 155, dude. If he can't make 155 in 2 months' notice, well then, he would have known about this fight a couple weeks ago, so it would have been 2 months. I understand it's not 2 months now, but if Paddy Pimlet can't make 155 in 2 months, well then we should not be trusting this guy to be our champion. We should not be trusting our 155 champion to be walking around at 200 pounds, dude. That's disgusting, dude. That makes me so sad thinking that Paddy Pimlet could be fighting for a belt in 2025 without literally going through anything, dude. I understand that if Paddy Pimlet fights Justin Gaethje, he'll beat Justin Gaethje, but at least let's let him fight, dude. If Justin Gaethje loses this, we'll never have to worry about Justin Gaethje again. He'll probably retire. If Paddy Pimlet wins this, well then great. We have the birth of a star. We'll get Ilia Topuria versus Paddy Pimlet. All you guys are happy. You know, I'm giving Paddy Pimlet a favorable matchup. I could have given Arman Tsarukyan. You know, Arman Tsarukyan would have ragdolled Paddy Pimlet, but this should have been the co-main event. I don't care if Paddy Pimlet can't make 155. If he can't make 155, that's his fault, and he shouldn't be fighting for a title anytime soon. And yeah, I think this would have been a valuable shout if the UFC wanted to keep Aaron Pico in the co-main event. I would have been cool with that, I guess, man. I understand. I don't understand, if I'm being honest. I don't know why the UFC has so much love for this guy who is just any other Joe Smo in Bellator. But if the UFC really just wanted to keep Aaron Pico in the co-main event for some weird reason, I would do this. I would do this. Gene Silva versus Aaron Pico. I know Gene Silva's supposed to fight Diego Lopez in a couple months. In September, I believe, at that UFC Fight Night Noche. Apparently, that's what they're doing with that card. But Gene Silva, he's a fighting nerd. You telling me this guy wouldn't be willing to take a fight on short notice against Aaron Pico? Like he fought Drew Dober on 1 week notice when he had fought the week before up a division. Like, he'll fight anyone, anywhere, anytime. If we really care so much about that fight night in Noche, we'll do what's the kid's name? Yair Rodriguez versus Diego Lopez at UFC Noche instead. Gene Silva would be willing to fight this guy. I understand. I can't, like, you guys are going to say Dana White tried everything, though. Dana White tried everything to get us a good co-main event for this card. No, he did not. This guy did not call up Gene Silva. This guy did not call up, realistically, any other names. He didn't try. Dude, he saw Lerone Murphy was on a couple of wins. Well, then we'll give the guy a decent... We'll say this is a number one contenders fight. That's what they're going to market this as. They're going to market this as a number one contenders fight, and that's why it's in the co-main event. Because if this was not a number one contenders fight, then Jared Cannonier versus MVP would likely be the co-main event. But this is going to be a number one contenders fight. Gene Silva would have been able to step in. Gene Silva would have liked to step in. I guarantee you that. If Gene Silva got this phone call, he would have answered it. He would have said yes, dude. He's a fighting nerd. He's accepted short notice fights before, and I would trust Gene Silva with anything. And we could get Gene Silva to chin this guy in the first round and send him back to the Bellator. That would be great. That would be the ideal scenario. Obviously, that didn't happen. And the final alternate co-main event that we could have got from this card, you know, I'm gonna be a little bit crafty, guys. You guys aren't gonna see this one coming, dude. Zhang Weili versus Jandiroba, dude. I mean, I'm so tired of these women's champions who think they're dominant but fight once a year, dude. Zhang Weili, her last fight was in February, dude. It was at UFC 312. She doesn't get to just sit around for a year and fight once a year and then come back, have a decent little crafty performance, and then just keep farming up title defenses and then come back a year later and fight again. No, we have a clear-cut number one contender in this division. There's no excuses, dude. Have her face Jandiroba, or even better, have her face Valentina Shevchenko. Well, this is the more likely fight. Have her face Virna Jandiroba. Jandiroba hasn't fought since 314. That's a good layoff, dude. We could have told her 3 weeks ago she would have been hopped in a fight camp for a month and a half. We could have made this fight. Zhang Weili, dude, I hate how she fights once a year. That's about every women's champion, dude. Kayla Harrison, bro, she's gonna go on a big run, but she's gonna fight once a year, dude. Valentina Shevchenko, she fights once a year. That's the thing about women's MMA. It makes me mad. But Zhang Weili versus Jandiroba, this could have easily been the UFC 319 co-main event. You're like, Dana White did not call up Zhang Weili. That's what I mean. Dana White isn't trying for us, guys. Dana White is not trying. If Dana White really wanted cards to be great, well, then he would be calling up Zhang Weili. Do you guys honestly, in your mind, think that Dana White called up Zhang Weili? Hey, Zhang, can you fight on 319? No, he did not. He called up Lerone Murphy. The UFC is failing us, and now we have Lerone Murphy in a co-main event. Don't act excited about this, guys. Genuinely, please don't act excited about this. But that's going to do it for today's video. If you guys enjoyed, leave a comment down below. Let me know, and I'll see you guys in the next one. MMA Outpost out.